And so all three of these methods are means, vehicles of union with benefits along the way. And we'll start with meditation. Uh, Meditation is basically, when you break down all the different kinds of it, is basically developing the capacity to hold a certain view. So a meditation instruction is actually a view. It's someone saying, for example, what happens if you hold your whole field of vision as open rather than focused on one object? So if you take in all the light and color, up, down, sides, and experience the world this way, does something change? Okay, so that's a small example. But that change is, say, what the person giving the instruction wants you to experience. So it's sort of like here's a way of looking at your experience. It's a good way, hopefully, and try this on. And then the path of meditation is all the struggles with how do we do that? What do they mean? Um, can I do it? All the self doubt that gets purified and all that kind of thing. That's the path. But ultimately, um, we're trying to have the same view as the person giving us the instruction. That's the path of meditation. And there are many, many different instructions for many, many different views. Now, contemplation or inquiry is a little bit different. It isn't so much holding a particular view, but it wants to know the truth of any given experience. So, in other words, meditation kind of steps back often to look at what's going on and not get involved with all the objects coming up into awareness. Whereas contemplation in general tends to move towards a more investigative aspect, looking for the essential truth of what that thing is. So if we say, hold your visual field completely open and then notice um, uh, the sensation in your heart as you do that. Meditation would tell you to hold the view here, but contemplation would want to know more about what's going on in the heart. If I actually feel that more deeply, what's it like? What are those sensations like? Do they have a quality? And again, the contemplation starts self-centered, my sensation kind of thing, but it moves into more subtle realms of like what's going on in the heart. It moves into more vast areas of what sensation actually is. And we're ultimately looking for an essential truth. A famous inquiry question from Ramana Maharishi was, who am I? And we would start out with that, who am I? Well, I'm Chad, I'm this, I'm that, I have these ideas, these beliefs, these memories, this story. But when we, penetrate that with the question, we come into more subtle experiences, like even who is asking that question to begin with. And this tends to unpack deeper layers of the truth. We find union through truth. The third practice, prayer, sets things up in a equally valid and different way, which is more of an I-thou relationship. So I am here, some higher principle, let's say God is up there, and we start out by praying for ourselves, for what we need, what we want, for health, that kind of thing. And then as we grow, we continue to expand that circle of care to others, perhaps in our community. But then that should also expand out to people outside of our community, to see that there's a certain sense of self, that I would want wellness and goodness for all, that I won't actually be well until everyone's well in some way. But the ultimate prayer is that it dissolves that separation between I and thou. It's the same destination. It's a certain dismantling of the self that believes it itself isn't divine.